Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper. Today, I've got every single boss fight in Infinite Warfare Zombies with an easy breakdown and strategy guide for the brand new game mode in Infinite Warfare that you can play for the Halloween special. Now, I literally played every single Easter egg today to get this footage for you guys, and I worked really hard on this video. So if you guys could do me a huge favor and leave a like, we'll aim for 500 likes. I know you guys could destroy that. That'd be absolutely sick. And if you guys are brand new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe for more content just like this. And basically, this is going to be a guide. It's all going to be solo gameplays, but you can run it with a team, and the strategy will be just the same. I'll show you each sequence of the boss fight, how they work, and the best way to get them done. So with that being said, we're going to go through all of the Easter eggs, boss fights in order with a quick breakdown. So let's go ahead and jump into our first one, Zombies in Spaceland. When you enter Zombies in Spaceland, you should be thrown into this sequence, and what's going to happen is you're going to see a couple of colors around the Pack-a-Punch machine. You're going to see a total of 4 of them, and what's going to happen is there's going to be a UFO right above the machine, and it'll flash a random sequence of those 4 colors, and your job, either by yourself or with a team, is to type them in the correct order, and you need to do that a total of 3 times, and you need to also be cautious because the order of the colors will be switching up upon game to game. Like the one closest to the Pack-a-Punch portal might not always be red like it is my gameplay, but just I recommend you write it down. It makes it a lot easier. But when you type in all 3 sequences and you get them correct, if you fail it, by the way, you'll get a brute, so you want to watch out for it. But when you type in all 3 sequences of that correctly, then you should get a heavy wave of clowns spawning in. This is how you know that you're almost at the final part of the boss fight, when you're fighting off the clowns, and these things are pretty easy to kill with just the Kindles. I recommend you have the double pat Kindles if possible, the face melter laser gun, because you're going to use that for the alien later, and then if you want a mule kick weapon, maybe any sort of LMG or just whatever gun of choice. To be honest, your mule kick doesn't really matter for Spaceland, so I'm gonna leave that one up to you. And so when your alien spawns in, this is where you need to hit him with your laser gun. Pretty much every other gun is worthless against him. I wouldn't recommend using the Kindles or a bullet weapon, and the face melter is actually probably the strongest against the alien. I believe the head cutter is the same amount of damage, but don't use the shredder or the discord. The face melter, while it is a little bit it's tricky to use because you can get yourself killed with it if you shoot it too close to yourself, because the fire that it drops, you need to watch out for that. But it kills the alien so fast, and when he's down, you need to go up to him and melee his back to take one of the fuses off, and you need to do this 2 times. When you're able to down him twice and take the second fuse off of his back, he's gonna go back to full health and return his necklace to green. However, this is the final sequence you gotta do. You don't have to melee his back anymore. You can literally just go ahead and kill him with your laser gun or whatever you might need to use. And then finally, when you and your team are able to put enough damage into him, congratulations, you have beaten the Zombies in Spaceland boss fight. Once all the aliens are dead, you are all done. So there you go, that's Zombies in Spaceland for you. Hopefully that was easy enough, simply explained with a good strategy. And now, we're gonna head to our second map, Rave in the Redwoods. Now, the Rave in the Redwoods boss fight is not hard by any means, but it's going to take you probably a little bit longer than some of the other ones, so I'd allow yourself maybe 15 to 20 minutes to do this one, but it's a very easy concept. Now, there's going to be 2 skulls that collect souls on this island, and you can see this first one that I'm training around right now, this big bright thing in the middle, and you just need to kill zombies around it with whatever gun. It doesn't matter. I prefer you to use a bow because it can kill a lot at once, obviously, but you need to fill it up until you see a big bright beam going above it, and then that's how you know that soul is complete. And then you want to head over to the other skull on the other side of the island by the water and do the exact same thing. Collect souls there. It usually takes about, I don't know, I want to say 20 to 30 kills. And then when both of those are done, you want to shoot the slasher in that little ritual circle that I just did, and then he's going to go back into like the real mode right here. You'll be out of Rave, and then you need to shoot symbols that are on his body. These would be like the ones that look like they're surrounding the Pack-a-Punch machine. You kind of just see them, hit him with a bolt weapon. It's really easy to do, and to be honest, I would save probably a crawl or 2 for this. Makes it so much easier on yourself. You don't have to worry about anything else running around, but there's usually about 10 to 13 symbols, I think, that appear all over his body, and when you're finished shooting them, when you've got all of them, then he's going to kind of flinch up a little bit, and then that's how you know you've done that sequence right. He's going to go back to the top of the cabin and then begin the fire sequence. Now, this is where your setup of choice, what you decide to run in this, matters a little bit. So the things that I'm going to recommend to you, because you need to guard yourself against a bunch of skeletons that have pretty high health, and you can't really go anywhere when you're in this safe zone. You have very little space. So I'm going to recommend you have the Kindles, just like you had in Spaceland, and then you also take the bow. You want to take the Acid Rain or the Ben Franklin. There's 4 bows in total, but these 2 I think are the most effective. I always run these. It doesn't really matter. You just need something that's very high damage that will kill these skeletons and, you know, just kind of protect yourself while you're in the safe zone. And then for your third, your mule kick gun, I'm going to recommend either the RPR submachine gun or the Ripper, the VPR or the FHR. These are all SMGs that are fantastic for hitting the symbols on the slasher, taking them at the very end when you need to, and it's just an all-around good gun. So when you have your complete setup and you're doing this correct, you guard yourself in the safe zone for the correct amount of time. It should throw you back into Rave mode, and then you need to do the exact same thing that you just did. Go back to those 2 skulls, fill up the souls in it, and then when you get your ritual circle, bring the slasher back into it, shoot him, and then when he goes back into the real world, get his symbols off of him by shooting those. And then when you've done that, the next time, the final time now, you will need to actually just go ahead and take him out. And also, another pro tip is that if you have the twice the pain card, the Faint Fortune card unlocked, go ahead and play that right now when you need to do the part of putting collective damage into him, because you can take him out in like 5 seconds flat with like SMGs or your bow or whatever you want to use. He's super easy to kill, and once you finally put enough damage into him, it's not hard at all. Then you have beaten the Rave in the Redwoods boss fight, my friends. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So now that is 2 Easter eggs down and only a few to go. We're gonna head over into Shaolin Shuffle now, and this is where things get a little bit more complicated. So this boss fight is interesting because it can be done probably the fastest, but at the same time, it can also give you the hardest time. Now, there's basically 3 sequences in this thing. You're going to have to do 3 different challenges, and the first one I'm starting right here is the heart, and this is arguably the toughest one. So when you hit the heart and then you hit the symbol in the middle, it's going to spawn this acid around the map. You can see like these little puddles, and what you want to do is kill a zombie in each of the puddles in a specific amount of time. I believe on solo, it's around a minute, and on co-op, I think it's 30 seconds, but you got to do it very, very fast. And also, standing in this acid will deal damage to you, so you can't be in it for too long. This is the one that I recommend you focus up the most on because it is the hardest one to get out of the way for most people. But when you actually take out all the acid puddles by killing zombies in it, that sequence is done. It's simple enough, easy to go, just like that, and you're good to go with your next sequences and begin your last 2 challenges. Now, the setup I'm going to recommend for this boss fight is pretty standard, but I'm going to recommend you, of course, the Kindle, so you can never go wrong with that. Now, my other gun is actually the Katana, and I don't know if in this boss fight game mode, you're going to allow it to be just use the double upgraded Katana. I'm actually not sure, but that's what I'm rocking in this boss fight. I didn't really use it a whole lot, to be honest, but it's just something that I did have on me. And then my other gun, my mule kick, was the FHR, and I'm going to recommend you take that one as well. It is fantastic for each and every step that you need to do. It's a super strong gun, and that's really the only thing you're going to need for this thing. So then when you shoot the Rat King a little bit after that first sequence, you can begin your second challenge, and this is the brain that it started, or the blue one. Now, this is the easiest. All you need to do is run around and survive. Literally, if you can train, then you can do the sequence. What's going to happen is there's going to be some purple-eyed zombies up in the middle, and they're going to be eating at the brain, and all you need to do is just not kill them. Like, don't kill anything in the sequence unless there's something legitimately in your way, but the Rat King is going to be trying to defend his brain by killing those zombies, and you can shoot the Rat King when he's off to the side to distract him a little bit, but really, you don't need to do anything. Just run around, wait out the time. When the brain is gone, a max ammo will pop up, and you've done that challenge. Simple as that, and then you can move on to your last one. And luckily, the final challenge is pretty easy as well. Literally, go ahead and hit that green eyeball, hit the symbol in the middle, and then you're going to see some symbols pop up when you hit your L2 or your L1 button to scan with that eyeball. You'll see these symbols that'll pop up from like period about 5 seconds, and all you need to do is shoot them. That's it. It's as simple as that. So take your FHR, super easy for hitting these, and you don't even really need to mind the zombies at this point either. There should be about maybe 20 symbols around the map entirely. There'll be some up on the ceiling, up in the rafters, and things like that. When you hit the final symbol, you'll hear a gong, max ammo will spawn, and then you'll just need to load up the Rat King, just kind of like you did for the slasher, put enough damage into him, and then you can go ahead and take him out. For this step, I recommend you use the FHR because it absolutely melts. You only need your Kindles to take out the ninjas and just the regular zombies that are around you. The Katana is pretty good as well, just as a backup, and then just look at this FHR. I hit him with about 2 clips at the end of this thing, and bam, he's a goner. So it's really, really useful. So anyway, guys, there you go. There's Shaolin Shuffle. Now let's head into Attack of the Radioactive Thing, and let's get that one done. So this boss fight is pretty interesting as well. When you get spawned in, you're going to see a nuke behind you, and you need to walk this down to the beach. It's kind of like Overwatch if you ever played that, where you got to walk the payload. You need to stand pretty close to it so that it moves, and trust me, it's going to go really slow. It should take about maybe, if you could stand on it the whole time, about maybe 2 minutes to get down to the bottom of the beach. But you're gonna get interrupted, have to step off it a little bit because he's going to be throwing krogs at you as well as meteors, so just to kind of get you off of that. But as soon as that little bombardment is done, go right back to the bomb and continue to walk it down as far as you can. And then when you get down to the bottom of the beach, you want to run it just up to there where the water is, and then the thing will shoot into the beast's mouth, and then you can go ahead and begin the second sequence, which is the lasers. This part's actually pretty easy. All you gotta do is wait for him to attack, and you'll see that little green piece right in the middle of his chest open up. You need to shoot that with that turret. It'll take about like 1 second to charge up, but when you hit him right in the chest piece, you need to do about 3 times, and when you're all done, then he'll knock back a little bit, and you will see the bomb spawn up on the beach, and then you need to go ahead and then hold square on that. If you're with the team, all players need to hold square on it to begin it. Now, the final sequence of this part, you go all the way back to the, like, where you kind of brought in the bomb from the top of the beach, and it's going to now be blocked off, but you need to back yourself all the way up here, because he's going to shoot radioactive acid all over the beach and spawn Krogs at you, so this is pretty much the only spot you can go. You need to defend yourself from a few waves of Krogs until, finally, he's going to spawn in his own set of, like, a laser maze. Now, the setup that I recommend you run for this is going to be, of course, the classic Kindles, and then any sort of fast-shooting bullet weapon. You don't really need anything else, just the Kindles, and then something that shoots fast, so like maybe a Mauler, an RPR, even a Hailstorm like what I'm using in this gameplay. Just anything that you can really shoot the Krogs out of the sky with is going to make your life so much simpler. And then when you're fully backed up and you have nowhere else to go, the acid is pretty much right at your doorstep. He's going to spawn in his laser maze, and you need to jump and slide in between those. This is what most teams struggle with, so just take your time on this and you'll be just fine. Slide under a few of these, jump over a few of them, and you have about 10 seconds to get to the bottom of the beach, and you also get a countdown on your screen to tell you how much time you have as well. When all players hit square on the bomb, you can go into the belly of the beast, and you need to type in your bomb code that should be on your HUD for this game. Now, my code, you need to write it in front of you because you cannot pull up your HUD while you're inside the belly of the beast, so it just needs to be at your quick access. But when you have your code typed in correctly, there you go. That is the next boss fight complete, ladies and gentlemen. You have beat the radioactive thing, and now we have 2 more to go. We have to do the beast from beyond, and then now finally Mephistopheles. So now we get to the Beast from Beyond fighting the cryptids. This is a very, very unique boss fight. There's no actually zombies in this one. It is only cryptids and rhinos and phantoms and that sort of thing. So what you need to do right when you get thrown into this, you'll have 4 rhinos that are let out of cages by this laser, and all you need to do is drop them. They're actually pretty easy to kill as long as you have a high DPS gun. For your recommended setup, I'm going to say, of course, the one and only classic Kindles. You're going to see, you know, this is a pretty much repeated pattern, but take the Kindles and then either the VPR or the FHR. A lot of people who play this game a lot say the FHR, however, the VPR is a little bit higher damage, and I think it works better against these rhinos, but, you know, to each their own. You take whatever you feel comfortable with. This is just what I suggest. And then for your mule kick gun, go ahead and take the Venom Y or the Venom Z. You're going to want the Venom Z for later if you take on Mephistopheles, but for this, you really only need the Kindles and some kind of SMG. It's not too crazy. So then when you kill off your initial rhinos, you'll fight off 2 different sequences of cryptids. These are pretty easy. It's a very, very light spawn. They'll just kind of come in right here. There's, I don't know, about 20, 25 of them. And then there'll be some spawning behind you, kind of like on your left. And there'll be a few phantoms in there, so you definitely want to be cautious for those. But they're also pretty easy to kill. Simple, straightforward, just like what you did. And when that's done, then you can go ahead and begin the next sequence. This laser is going to start going crazy, and then more cryptids will spawn in. And what you need to do is run around until some of these consoles or computers around the map turn on. You and your team then need to deactivate these consoles because they'll be turned on. Just go ahead and hold square to turn them off. And when all 3 are off in a certain amount of time, I believe it's about 15 seconds, and they've all been shut down, the portals will close, and then you just take out whatever you have remaining on the field. You'll probably have like a rhino or 2 still running around, so go ahead and drop everything else. And then now you need to survive for 100 seconds, or what seems like 100 seconds. I'll explain that in a minute from this console. You'll see red numbers pop up, and then it starts counting down. During this time, if you're playing solo, you need to train around in this specific route that I'm going in so you don't get trapped. Those will be the heaviest spawn of cryptids that come in. If you're with a team, there's actually a really good strategy. Have each player run the card called Hide and Seek, and then pop them one at a time. They last 20 seconds each, so it should get you through this entire thing. Now, that being said, the 100 seconds on the console, I swear to you, I'm not tripping, this actually moves slower than real time. Only by about a fraction of a second. So, like, 1 real second in real life equals about 1.25 seconds or so on that console. I don't know what it is, but I timed it against one of my timers. It didn't match up, so just be cautious. It may not be exactly 100 seconds, but do what you gotta do to survive that long until it counts down to 0. And then when it gets there, you'll see like these weird... Now, this is the part that I see most people struggle with. It's not really that hard, the fact that, like, they're not very fast, but they are powerful. And there's also a little bit of a catch, is that while you're shooting them, they drop this blue fire on the ground. If you stand in it, obviously you're going to get damaged. So what I'm doing right now is showing you guys a really good route to basically negate the fire. So shoot them in this tunnel right here where they just were, and the fire will drop below you where you don't even run. And then if you come up on this balcony, you can use this for a couple, like, passes just to drop some fire up on this so it's out of your way. But once it's, like, too crowded, don't use that anymore. Just kind of let them waste some fire up on that. But just run around the map in zones that you're not running in, so any tight corners that you need to use, do just like avoid shooting them in. But tunnels are good because the fire will drop through, and around the ammo site is okay as it will drop on the side. But I'm telling you, man, these are the absolute bullet sponges. I cannot stress that enough. They're pretty hard to kill, but when you drop them both and you're finally done with these 2 Phantom Rhinos, you have beaten the Beast from Beyond boss fight, and now it is time to head into the final one, the Mephistopheles boss fight, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, now is where we get to the hardest one ever. This is the most fun boss fight you will ever play, and I'm doing this one on solo, but I actually don't recommend it. Use this one with the team for sure if you're just trying to get it done, because it's so much better. And when you're playing solo, you can only make 2 mistakes and you're pretty much done. But I'm just kind of showing you in this gameplay what it's going to look like and give you some tips for this as well. Now, when you're running this, there's going to be 5 talismans around the map. You see like these little ritual circles. What you need to do is begin any one of your choice. So standing it and hold square, and then it will begin to fill up like with meter. As long as you are standing inside the circle, it will begin charging, and all this time you need to avoid him and avoid the skeletons that he's summoning as well. You have like a load of different attacks that you need to learn, and the basic attacks that he has is fireballs. You'll see him like point his fingers at you. Just get out of the zone that you're in, just run away from that. And the second attack he has is gravity. He'll pull like a little gravity ball, and you just want to stay out of the middle as it will be pulling you towards that. Another attack that he has, I just call it middle fire. He kind of just grazes over the zone in a middle fashion, then just kind of like lights up the area, but it's that attack's really easy to avoid. And then when you have a talisman fully charged up, it should release these blue souls out of it, and then grab them with your entangler and shoot them at the devil. If you're playing solo, you only need to hit him with 4. If you're playing co-op, it's a bit more. And then when you finally hit him with the last soul, he'll kind of come in the middle here, and will have one of these symbols that are on his body light up. Take whatever gun you have and shoot the light up symbol on his chest, and that will begin the next sequence, and then you need to fight off a few enemies here. So the recommended setup that I'm going to tell you to have for this is the Kindles, of course. You know, we're not going to change that up here. The second gun I recommend you have is either the VPR or the FHR. The FHR is really starting to grow on me, so I recommend you use that. And then also the Venom Z. So pretty much just bring what you have from the cryptid boss fight. You should be just fine. Now, when you finish killing off that last zombie that he spawned in that sequence, you're going to look up in the sky and see some asteroids falling. Just stand behind this pillar that I'm at. It's kind of like Dreisendrache, where you need to hide behind one of those until this little wave is over. You'll see asteroids falling from the space and right into like the playfield that you're in. But if you're behind this wall, you should be just fine. And then when those are all done, you want to literally do the exact same thing that you just did and fill up the next talisman. If you start the ones that are closer to the devil, like the ones up here, those are usually typically a bit easier. I literally stupidly ran right into Mephistopheles right there when he's going for his middle slam. But pick any talisman you want and just begin it. Do the same thing you did. Charge it up by standing in it. Fill up the souls. Once they're released, shoot those souls at him. And then when you're done with those, when you've done all 5, then this is where the interesting part comes in, the hard step, and you need to charge the talismans. So for this, I recommend you hit your Twist of Fate card, and this will take out enemies. There's going to be such a heavy spawn, and what your job is to do right now is all the talismans that you charge, while you're standing in that specific symbol, you need to shoot that corresponding symbol that's on his body. And during this time, he's going to be attacking you, spawning in loads of enemies, and just things are going to be going down. It's going to be absolutely crazy. But you need to stand in whatever symbol that you're in, and then shoot that corresponding one on his body until that is fully charged. And when you do that for all 5 symbols, then they will raise up, and you need to hold square on each one of them, and then lasers will come out, shoot down the devil. You just want to load him up with your gun, and then you will beat this boss fight. But I'm telling you guys, probably don't do this solo. Use a team for it. It's much easier, and you'll get this done. So anyway, guys, that is going to be every single boss fight in this game. Hopefully, you guys can get this completed, and I hope this helped. If it did, make sure you guys do leave a like, subscribe if you are brand new, and I'll see you all up in the next video. Peace out.